Hello, welcome to part 2 where we build our ghost girl. I'm going to build her from the legs up, so I'm going to start with 4 bendy hair rollers. I get these from the Dollar Tree. These are the medium size. They run about 6 inches long and almost about 3/4 of an inch wide. I'm going to take the wire out of every one of these and then I'm going to put them on a 12-inch dowel rod. I will be cutting down 2 of these to 3.5 inches, 3 or 3.5 inches, I believe. Next, I'm going to be using these legs that I got from the Dollar Tree, but you can use any material you like. The measurements would be 2.5 inches by 12 inches, and then I would just glue down the side and turn them in right side out if you do it that way. But I'm just using these, they're already ready to go, and I'm slipping those right onto my dowels that I made. Now I'm ready to start adding in some glue so that I can stick my legs in. I'm going to go ahead and add 1 extra hex nut, so this is the 3/4 size hex nut. I just wanted 1 more in there for extra stability. I really don't want my ghost girl to fall over. And now I'm going to add in a little bit of hot glue inside of that hex nut, just quite a little bit, so that I can, when I stick the dowel in there, it'll really grab a hold and hold securely. Next, I'm going to be using this styrofoam egg. It is 5 7/8 by 3 7/8 inches. I'm going to be using this for the body, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it in half. I decided to grab a piece of string just to wrap my feet so they'll stay still while I'm doing this next step. I didn't want them moving around or becoming unbalanced, so I just wrapped it a couple of times just to hold it in place while I do this next step. Now I'm going to add some hot glue where I want my dowels or my legs to lay down, and I'm putting plenty on there. The key to remember here is you don't want to lay it so far that the foam hair roller is inside of that styrofoam egg area. You want to have that stay outside, so make sure you leave enough room on your dowel for that. And then once you get that laid on, just add some more hot glue to really secure the eggs together. Now I'm going to use this floral tape, and you can use the white masking tape would work just fine. I did not have any of that, and I like the floral tape because it's a little bit sticky, kind of tacky. I'm still going to apply a little bit of hot glue just to really hold that star in place for me, and I'm going to go around it about 15 times roughly. That's just an approximate, but I'm going to go around it until I really feel like my egg is securely together, and then once I get it around there, I'm going to add another dot of hot glue and cut off my excess and secure it in place. Now I'm going to take a third dowel rod and I'm going to cut it down This is the same size as the two legs, so I'm just going to cut it down to about 4 inches, and then I am going to insert half of it into the body and the other half in the head. The styrofoam ball that I'm using for the head measures approximately 5 inches. Once you have the holes both in your body and the head pieces, make sure you remember to hot glue both sides in. That way they don't come apart later. Because the fleece material is so large, it was hard to show the measurements. So I just told you on the screen they are 25 by 29 inches. And I like to drape my material over the head kind of evenly. And I like to have 2 corners on either side, almost as if they were arms. So the points would meet on either side of the leg. Now I'm going to cut out the pattern pieces for the eyes, and you definitely want to have 2 of these. If for whatever reason they end up a little uneven, I always just kind of trim them together. So I'll cut each one out, and then I lay one on top of the other and just make sure that they match. If they don't, while they're still together, I will trim off any overhang. Now I'm cutting out the little whites of my eye pieces, and I'm going to do the same thing that I do with the black circles. Just going to make sure they're pretty equal in size, and then I'm going to just double check them on my ghost before I glue them down. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue my whites of my eyes to the black part before I add my eyelashes. Now I'm ready to add my fake eyelashes, and I had these jaggedy looking eyelashes, but you can just use the fake eyelashes that you can get at the Dollar Tree or wherever you can find them affordably, and trim them down to about 1/4 of an inch. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue them onto my ghost's head. I like to make sure I like the placement, and once I get it where I like it, I'll go ahead and add the hot glue onto there. Next, I'm tracing the mittens for the hands, and I'm just going to use my little pattern piece and trace all the way around on both hands. You want to make sure you have 2 pieces of material for each hand, and you want the smoother side of the material. If you're using fleece like me, you want the smoother side of the material to be on the inside, so that when you turn it right side out, that smooth side is on the outside. Now I'm going to add glue along the edge, just right on the very edge of the material. If you want your hands to be a little smaller, you can go a little more inside. And then if you want them bigger, stay towards the very edge of the mitten. Now that I have both of my hands glued, I'm going to go ahead and turn them right side out. And once I get them both right side out, I'm going to take a little bit of polyfill and fill them so that they have the look of having something inside of them, like a hand. Now I'm going to take some of this ruffly purple trim. I believe I got this specific trim from Hobby Lobby, but you can use any trim you like. This is 3/4 of an inch wide, and I'm just going to start at the back in the middle of the hand, and I'm going to go halfway, and then I'm going to take the hand and turn it over, and you'll see I'm going to apply glue around the edge of that fleece material and then just wrap the ribbon around it. Now that I'm back to the beginning of the material, I'm going to go ahead and add some hot glue into the middle and just close that gap where the polyfill is inside of the mitten. Now I'm going to work on my bow for her head, and I'm just making some little loops with the ribbon. So I did this the first time, and then I do it a little bit more clearly the second time. I'm just going to take the material and make a loop and make both pieces overlap each other in the middle, and then I'm going to pinch them together like you see here so that they create this stand-up bow look. So here I am, I'm using the first one as a guide for the second one, and I like them to be about 2.5 inches and 3 inches roughly. You can go a little smaller or a little bigger, it really depends on the look that you're going for. Again, once I get that folded over, I'm going to glue those together, and then I will pinch it in the middle so that it's more of a stand-up bow. Now I'm going to add a little bit more glue to the middle and put those two bows together right on top of each other on those pinches. And then I'm going to grab a little sequin and put it right in the middle. And I like the large sequin, so this is probably about 1/4 of an inch in size. And I'm just going to glue that right onto the front. I'm ready to move on to my pumpkin trick-or-treat bag. So I'm just going to take my pattern, and I've taken felt and folded it in half, putting the folded side to the bottom, and then I cut it out, and now I'm just going to lift up one side and add hot glue down one side almost all the way to the end. I'm going to leave about a 1/2 inch space from the bottom on both sides. And as you can see, it's about a finger's width space. Now I'm going to take my fingers and pinch them together. I'm going to turn it around so you can see it's like pinching into a T, and then I'm just going to add hot glue into that T, the top line, and squeeze it together. I'm going to do the same thing on both sides, so kind of rolling it, rubbing it into that T shape, and then once it's flush, going ahead and adding hot glue and pinching it together. Once I get that done, I'll turn my bag right side out. Now I'm going to grab my little triangle piece of the pattern for the face, and I'm just going to cut these corners. I love this. This is such a shortcut, easy peasy. Gives me a great triangle pretty much every time, but I'm going to do 3 of these, and the third one I'm going to end up trimming down just a little bit. This is going to be my nose, and I want to make sure and turn that one upside down so it's facing the way you see right here, with the longer side upward and the point going down. Now I'm ready to start putting the pieces on my little bag just to see how they look. This is where I'm trimming down the nose just a little bit, just to be a little smaller than the eyes. Now I'm creating the piece for the mouth, and you will have this pattern piece, but I was drawing it out at the time, so I figured I would just leave this process in. You can see me kind of drawing out the mouth part. Now that I have it cut out, I'm going to go ahead and see how I like the look of it, and I like it pretty well. I'm going to trim up a little bit more maybe, and then once I'm happy with it, I will go ahead and glue all my pieces down. Before I glue my pieces down, I decided to go ahead and add my little handle for my bag, so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm taking a piece of this about 1/4 inch ribbon, green ribbon, and I'm just going to measure out about 11 inches, but I actually end up cutting it down to about 9 inches in the end. I took a little extra off camera. So it's up to you. You have to decide on how long you want your little handle on your bag to be, but I would say start with the 11 inches, and then you can always take away if it's too long for your liking. Now I'm attaching the handles by adding a little bit of hot glue to one side, and I'm going to make sure the ribbon stays straight and then add it to the same side. I'm sorry, I'm adding it to the opposite side, but both of them are on the front piece of fabric. So where the two pieces meet, I stayed on the front side of that material. Now I'm ready to glue my face onto my little bag, so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay, now I'm ready to add the hands to her body. So I just try to go about belly area, so where it was kind of more bulbous on that egg, and I tried to put them on either side of that bulge, if that makes sense. And I'm just adding a line of hot glue about the width of those hands and putting them both in place. And then I'm going to put her little bag in there first. I want the bag to move freely, so I'm going to create kind of a hole, a loop, if you will, with her hands. So you'll see me kind of walk through this process of pinching together and making sure that the string can still move. So I'm adding that hot glue right there, pinching it together until I feel like it's secure and set. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now I'm ready to add the final piece, which is her bow. So I'm going to add that to the top of her head off to the side. And once I get that glued down, she's all done and ready to go. And here she is, all done. I hope that you enjoyed this class. I think she makes a great addition to any Halloween decor. She's wonderful as a gift, or to make with friends, or to even sell.